to finish up my series of messages out of the book of Ruth. I want to go to Ruth, chapter number 4. The Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, Ruth chapter 4, starting in verse 13. And I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. And you shall have found it, say amen, and stand to your feet to honor the reading of this portion of Scripture. Ruth chapter 4, starting in verse 13, you'll find these words. So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. When they came together, the Lord made her conceive, and she bore a son. Then the women said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without next of kin." Or, can I paraphrase this, with somebody to redeem you. And may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life, and the nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you is more to you than 7 sons has borne you. Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her bosom and became his nurse. The women in the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, the father of David. She named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse, the father of David. I want to conclude this series of messages today, and I don't have much time to do it, so I need you to help me. From the subject titled, "If I Hold Out, My Change Will Come." If I hold out, my change will come. Let's go to God and say, "Father, where I am, you are. What I know, you taught. What I have, you gave. What I am, you made. Lord, I am depending on you. Can't do nothing until you come." This is your servant's prayer. I ask it in Jesus' name. And all God's children said, amen. Before you take your seat, turn and tell somebody, "Neighbor, if you hold out, your change will come." Turn and tell somebody, "Neighbor, I'm holding out because I know that my change will come." Give God a praise in this place. My change will come. Here's how we die. My change will come. Today we are concluding our sermon series out of the book Ruth. And while I am one who is trained in theology and find myself more than most one who loves the discipline, I find that often good theology is found in good story. The narrative of this book of Ruth is one that helps us to understand how life is and how God works. Life isn't always easy. Do I have a witness here? But God will show up, work things out. The story of Ruth has many theological angles from which one can take it. It can be understood as a defense of King David, because somebody researched his history and found out that he wasn't full-blooded Israeli, that he had a grandma who belonged to the enemy camp, that he had some Moab blood in his veins. And word was getting out that how can he be the king of Israel when he's not as pure as he ought to be? Now somebody ought to give God a praise right there, because don't you know there are some folk that's been talking about you too? There are some folk that can't understand how you got where you are, given your family history. I'm talking to myself now. Y'all leave me alone. There are some folk who looked at you in your past and judged your future based upon what they saw. But do I have a witness here? God is a good God. God can work with whatever other folks say is not qualified. Y'all better get me. Too many of you all are looking for jobs based upon your qualifications. Y'all be looking for a job based upon the favor of God. Because God can open a door that your degree and your network can never open, and God can keep you in a place where others don't even care to look at you. Do I have a witness for that? So one can say the book of Ruth is about David being defended because folks said he was not as pure as he should be. Some would suggest it is a story. I'm going to get in trouble now, but it's all right, because trouble is my middle name. My name is Clifford T. Matthews, and the T is for trouble. Some will suggest that it is a story that suggests that love can show up in many different forms and God can still bless it. Y'all be quiet, because y'all not there yet. Y'all to have 5 folk that can say, it can be seen by some as a love story between 2 women. Too many times we get caught up trying to decide what's right and what's wrong. But can I tell y'all something? If you spend your time trying to take care of yourself, y'all don't want to say anything, but I say anything for it. You will have a whole lot less stress, be able to sleep at night, be able to carry on your own business, because at the end of the day, you're going to stand before God as a story that can be reduced to really a comparison and contrast between two women. It can be seen as a story between Naomi and Ruth. And this is where me and God had to have a conversation this week. We find two lead characters, one Naomi and one named Ruth. But notice how different they are. Naomi, we find in chapter 1, is a woman that lost everything. Y'all not going to help me, but I'm reading the story. She lost her home, had to flee to Moab, got there, lost her husband. After losing her husband, she lost her 2 sons. And all she had left were 2 women that her sons married that had no blood connection to her at all. And she realized her hopeless condition and decided, Sandra, to go back home to Bethlehem when things got better, so she heard. But notice, as she was leaving, she tells one daughter-in-law, stay with your folk, don't come any further. She tells the other the same, and Ruth says, no, I'm not going to ever leave you, mother-in-law. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Where you die, I will die. Your God shall be my God. Your people shall be my people. And only death is going to separate me from you. And so notice Naomi comes back into the city, and the women of Bethlehem are telling her, welcome home. But notice Naomi's words. Don't call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Don't call me by my name, because life for me, can I paraphrase now, ain't been no crystal stair. I don't call me pleasant. My name is bitter, because God has messed over me. And I know some of y'all are holy. Y'all would never be that honest and say that to God. But not only did Naomi say it, Jonah said, Elijah said, Job said, and even on the cross, Jesus said, my God, where are you? Sometimes life will get so hard that you question, where is God in the midst of my situation? And I wonder, do I have anybody here that's been there before, where you got so low, and even though you knew what God said, you had to ask the question, God, where are you? She got to that point. She said, call me then. God has messed over me. And we see her coming home without a smile, dejected, sad, pitiful, playing her sad music. Woe is me. Every time someone said good morning to her, she would say, why is it so good? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Every time someone tried to encourage her, she'll look at them and cross her eyes or cross her leg and tell them, child, boo, leave me alone. Every time someone tried to make her feel better, she'll remind them what happened when it happened a long time ago. Y'all know people like that. It don't matter if the sun is shining, they'll say it's too hot. If it's rainy, I wish the sun is shining. If it's hot, it's too hot. If it's cold, it's too cold. You know folk like that. Every good morning is met with a scowl and a frown on their face. And those are the Christians, you know. Now, we're good at talking about how good God is till times get bad, but do I have a witness here? If God is good in the sunshine, he ought to be good in the rain. If God is good when you're up, he ought to be good when you're down on your back. God is good all the time. I can't go anywhere. I'm trying to stop. So she was bitter and sad. But there's another sister in the text who lived the same experience. Her name was Ruth. She lost a husband. Didn't have any children. Didn't have anybody to come and take care of her. She even left her father and mother's land and decided to cast her lot with a woman that was talking depressed talk. Ruth was in the same predicament, but yet we find Ruth. She's not depressed. She's up and about. You don't find Ruth sad and lonely. She's working every day, making do with what she got, turning $1 into 10, 10 into 100. We find her getting herself pretty because she knew that even though life has not always been good, today is another day. And today God can turn things around. We find her on the threshing floor in chapter 3, doing what she had to do to make sure that she had a future. We find her now in chapter 4. She had a baby, and she heard years ago it was too late for us. God don't like us. It's over now. But yet Ruth did not act like Naomi. Have you ever noticed how the same thing can happen to two people, and one handles it with faith and the other with rejection? Can I have somebody here? You lost your job, somebody else lost their job. You sick, somebody else here is sick. But you sitting on your hand looking all sad, but they don't let you telling God, thank you. What's the difference? So I had to get alone with God and sat on my sofa, on my chair in the room, and I had to sit. And I put a call into heaven because Jonathan, theologically, I was in a quandary. I couldn't understand this sister Ruth. How in the world could you have such a positive outlook when Naomi was so down and dejected? What did you know? And so I kept trying to find the text. What did she know? And I couldn't find nothing. So finally, I told God, I got to preach to St. Luke this Sunday. And I need you to help me understand this sister Ruth. I said, can you give me a clue? And I believe God said, Reverend, you want to talk to Ruth yourself. Yeah. So I got on my sofa, called on Ruth's name and said, Ruth, tell me your story. How did you do what you did? You never gave up, kept on believing God. God is faithful. I knew that. But Reverend, tell them that I've been in heaven long enough to read what my grandson wrote several years after I was gone. Tell them I read where David, you know, the boy that I had, you know, the boy I had a boy. That boy had a boy. That boy became the king of Israel. And that boy was a skilled musician. He knew how to write them songs and play all those instruments. And David wrote a song. And David said he made it clear that he understood how God operates. He understood, he said, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. I understood, Reverend, that trouble don't last always. I wish I had a prayer church now. You understood that though it looks bad today ain't the only day I got. Because if I wake up in the morning, I know my God is able to do whatever God wants to do. And do I have a witness in church? Is there somebody that laid down one night and everything looked bad? But when you got up the next morning, God had worked in the midnight and turned everything around. I wish I had a prayer church. Is there anybody who left a job one day and you didn't think they were going to keep you on the job? But by the time you got in the job the next day, not only had they kept you, but they gave you a raise and a promotion. Because God can work overnight. She said, "Reverend, trouble don't last always." And I believe I have enough folk here besides myself and Sandra that can testify. We've seen the lightning flash. We've heard the thunder. Felt sin breakers trying to conquer our soul, but we knew that trouble don't last always. God is more than able to fix things up when you least expect it. Come here, St. Luke. I need somebody to help me give God praise. Is there anybody here that can testify he turned things around just in time? Is there anybody here that don't mind telling somebody trouble don't last always? Is there anybody here who don't mind testifying? I had to cry one day, but after I cried that one day, he put joy in my heart and a praise on my lips. But trouble don't last always. Did you do this? You said you knew if you hold out, change was going to come. Well, Reverend, not only do I know God is faithful, and that trouble don't last always, but Reverend, I just believe that my